On the first day of our Nile cruise, we were picked up in a van from our Airbnb by our guide for the duration of the cruise, Omar. Before boarding the boat, we visited the major archaeological sites of Luxor's West Bank: Queen Hatshepsut's temple, Valley of the Kings, and Colossi of Memnon. Queen Hatshepsut is likely the second woman pharaoh who ruled Egypt and is considered one of the greatest pharaohs, man or woman, in ancient Egypt. During her 15-year reign, Egypt enjoyed a peaceful and prosperous period and was strong both militarily and economically. Trade with neighboring regions was booming, and her expedition to a place called Punt, most likely modern-day Eritrea or Somalia, brought back luxury items like gold, ebony, incense, as well as exotic animals like giraffes and vegetation to Egypt. Scenes from the expedition were depicted on her mortuary temple.
Ancient workers are going rowing the boat to getting back to Egypt. Let's just see what she brought here.
I found Queen Hatshepsut to be one of the most fascinating pharaohs. Our guide, Omar, told us the story of how she came to power and the challenges a woman king had to contend with, which was similar to the one that our guide in Cairo, Iman, had told us when we visited the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, where Queen Hatshepsut's mummy is displayed. Hatshepsut was the daughter of Thutmose I. Not unusual during that time, she married her half-brother Thutmose II. Her stepson, or nephew, Thutmose III, was only a child when her husband died, so Hatshepsut ruled as a regent to her stepson, but effectively assumed the full authority of the throne. In the meantime, Hatshepsut sent her stepson away from the capital to pursue military training. To gain legitimacy as the pharaoh in the eyes of her people, she built herself the grandest mortuary temple at that time. She portrayed herself as the daughter of the most popular god, Amun, thus divine at birth. She also depicted herself as a male pharaoh with the customary pharaonic beard, crown, and regalia. After her death, Thutmose III finally claimed the throne for himself and became a powerful pharaoh in his own right, best known for his military prowess and expansion of Egypt's territory, which brought great wealth and riches to Egypt. As pharaoh, Thutmose III attempted to erase all trace of Hatshepsut's reign from temples, public monuments, and records. Experts believe that it wasn't because he resented her or was out to get revenge. The more probable reason was because he didn't want the legacy of a female pharaoh to be remembered, much less celebrated. To maintain balance and harmony, he believed that kings of Egypt should be men. As a result, for thousands of years, the name and accomplishments of Hatshepsut were forgotten. It wasn't until hieroglyphics could be deciphered with the Rosetta Stone that the existence of a female king during the New Kingdom became known. It's simply fascinating that the same story of women being underestimated, under-recognized, and undervalued has been told since the earliest civilization. This same story continues to be told, even today, over 3,000 years later. Valley of the Kings was the burial site primarily for pharaohs, but also for queens, high priests, and nobles from the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties during the New Kingdom. Central to the religion of ancient Egyptians was the belief in the afterlife. You could say that the living, particularly the pharaohs, were deeply preoccupied with the afterlife, and this obsession was interwoven into every aspect of their lives as they ruled ancient Egypt. The general ticket to the Valley of the Kings includes entry to 3 tombs. On any given day, around 8 tombs are open on a rotating basis. There are a few other tombs, including King Tutankhamun's tomb, that you can enter by purchasing an additional ticket. We visited the following tombs: Ramses IV, Ramses IX, and Merenptah. Ramses IV reigned for only about 6 years after the murder of his father, Ramses III. His reign is considered by Egyptologists to be a period of economic decline. His mummy was not found in this tomb, but was discovered in the mummy cache in the tomb of Amenhotep II. The mummy is on display at Nemek. The tomb has been open since antiquity, and there are Coptic and Greek graffiti all over the walls. The oldest graffiti dates back to Ptolemaic times. The tomb was used as temporary lodgings for early explorers. The colors of the tomb walls are still vibrant, especially the blue on the ceiling. All of the tombs are decorated with reliefs depicting the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife. After death, the immortal soul yearned to exist in the afterlife. Entry into the afterlife was not, however, guaranteed, and there were a number of things that would need to happen before entry into the afterlife was granted. The deceased would need to traverse a difficult and dangerous path before the soul was judged for worthiness. Much of the responsibility was placed on the living, as there were sacred rituals that had to be performed to prepare the way for the deceased. Ramses IX reigned for just over 18 years. He re-established stability after a chaotic period. This tomb is the most visited tomb in the Valley of the Kings. When we visited, it was crowded with a long line to walk to the back of the tomb. We got in line not knowing what we were lining up for. It took us about 15 minutes to get to the front and realized it was just to snap a photo of the burial chamber. This is another tomb that has been open since antiquity, and there are ancient graffiti on the walls. The body of Ramses IX was also found in the mummy cache and not in the tomb. The mummy is also on display at Namek. Merenptah was the 13th son of Ramses II. He took the throne at the age of 60 after the death of his father because his 12 older brothers had died before the death of their father. Merenptah reigned for 10 years. It's believed that he reigned jointly with his father because before he ascended the throne, he already began construction of his tomb before he actually became pharaoh. His tomb is the second largest in the valley. In an uncharacteristic miscalculation on the part of the tomb engineers, the exterior sarcophagus was too large, so when the pharaoh died, some of the pillars in the tomb had to be cut away to allow the sarcophagus to fit through. Some of the lower parts of the walls in the tomb have been damaged by flooding. The body of Merenptah was also found in the mummy cache and not in the tomb, and is on display at Namek. The tombs in the Valley of the Kings have been looted for thousands of years. Grave robbers, thieves, and plunderers from invading forces looted most of the treasures from the tombs over the millennia. In an effort to protect the mummified remains of the pharaohs from the previous centuries, sometime between 1077 BC to 950 BC, priests of the 21st dynasty removed many of the pharaonic mummies from their original tombs and held them for safekeeping hidden in the tomb of the high priest of Amun. Eventually, this mummy cache, where over 50 mummies were discovered, became known as the Royal Cache, or Deir el-Bahari Cache. Another mummy cache was discovered in the tomb of Amenhotep II and appeared to be the overflow area where priests kept more royal mummies safe. During our visit to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, we actually saw some of the mummies found in these two mummy caches in the Mummy Hall. The Colossi of Memnon are two giant statues that represent Amenhotep III, who ruled in the 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom. Amenhotep III inherited the throne from his father, Thutmose IV, and was an exceptional pharaoh who expanded the wealth and prestige of ancient Egypt. He's also known for being a tremendous builder, commissioning an impressive number of public works, monuments, and temples. The Colossi of Memnon were constructed around 1300 BC from two single blocks of sandstone and stand 18 meters tall. If the statues are of Amenhotep III, why are they called the Colossi of Memnon? The two statues were mistaken by ancient Greek tourists to be statues honoring Memnon, an Ethiopian king who fought with the Trojans against the Greek in the Battle of Troy. The misnomer has stuck with the statues to the present day.